Anxious to step through the gate again, Major?
Yes, I am.
We all are.
Would you like us to bring back anything special?
No thanks.
Groceries, new outfit, flatware?
No, just yourselves in one piece, please. Dial it up. Be safe.
Welcome to the Jumping Puddles podcast. Be sure to listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and or YouTube. And follow us at Jumping Puddles Podcast on Tumblr, Instagram, and Jumping Pud Pod on Twitter. I'm American Sam, and with me are my fellow co-hosts, Tor and Ash.
Hey!
Hi! Woo!
Yay!
That was a rush. So today we are only joined by the three of us. Unfortunately, Australian Sam could not make it today, but she'll be back. Hopefully, cross your fingers, for the next recording. We'll miss her dearly. But today it's just American Sam, Ash, and Tor here for Hot Zone.
Yes.
Yes.
Spicy.
Very. As American Sam just mentioned, we're watching Hot Zone today. We're reviewing Hot Zone today. While exploring sections of the city that were flooded during storms, some of the scientists start dying after seeing hallucinations that cause brain aneurysms. Ignoring Weir's instructions, Shepard goes after one of the scientists who is threatening to infect the rest of the city.
Dun dun dun!
Dun, dun, dun.
Yay!
Wait, that was like kind of upbeat or on beat.
Yeah.
I think we did that right for the first time.
Whoa!
Amazing summary. Thank you, Ash.
Yes.
Thank you.
The Hot Zone is truly a spicy one.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I feel like I forgot about this episode entirely. It wasn't until I watched it, and I was like, how could I forget? This is some spicy shit going on here. Like, this is some, like, my eyes were, like, wide, like, for most of the episode. I was like, holy shit.
There is so much undertone of catty and, like, infighting. And oh my goodness, what a hot mess.
Oh, man.
Where to even begin? I don't know.
I know!
There's too much. There's too much. It's
Right?
so good.
I guess we can start where the episode began, like with Prime Not Prime, because gotta mention Prime Not Prime.
Aww. That was really
Oh,
cute.
man.
It was.
No, it was so freaking cute. But, man, Ford, why do you have to ruin the fun?
I know! That
It's
was so
not-
depressing.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's not getting better with him, is it?
If anything, it's getting
He was-
worse.
It makes me wonder, like, at what point were they like, yeah, we're gonna write this bitch off? Because I wouldn't be surprised if it was, like, 2-3 episodes ago, because all of a sudden, like, they're bringing out, like, his worst qualities all the damn time. Like, there was no need for him to, like, first of all, like, just to completely snap on Zelenka and to be like, well, is this, like, payback for, like, guys, like, bullying you? I was like, what? Why did he, like, go from 0 to 100? And that was just so unnecessary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Apparently it was some kind of a game that they played, like the mocking Ford stuff, and it started around this time, and it's just like, it's not making the character more likable. And I forgot about all of this. Like, the times I watched this show before now, I never realized how little they gave Ford and how badly they treated his character. Because I used to like him, and now it's like I want to like him. It's like he's given so little, and every time it seems like a lot of times when he gets to say something, he is super snappy at somebody for some reason. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the dialogues he does get to participate in and say is just so, like, really, we're returning to the high school level of, you know, I'm a mean jock and you're just a crappy nerd, and like this is our Justin roles in life, and like nobody cares about what happened in high school, bro. Like we're just playing prime, not prime, and you're just exceptionally bad at it. Like that's all.
Okay, well, I guess I'll skip a little bit to the end because we're just talking about Ford. He did get like there were some really cute moments with him and Rodney during this episode. I will say. And honestly, I feel like after this like rewatch, like watching with you guys and like having this like super critical eye, I've just been noticing that like I honestly think like Ford and Rodney had like a better relationship than John and Ford, which I feel like is kind of like, ooh, controversial hot take. But I don't know. I just feel like they just seem to have like more scenes, and it seems to just go deeper than just like the like commander and like bestie type of like friendship that him and John have. Like I don't know, there's just something so sweet about like him and Rodney's like dynamic, and especially in this episode, it just pops out. So I was gonna say thank you for at least giving Ford a little bit later on in this episode. The beginning, not great, but he got a little bit better as the episode went on.
Yeah, that's so true. Like him asking if Rodney was okay. How are you doing? That was cute. And also, even on the flip side, like how Rodney views Ford when they're going into the lab where the virus is, and he's like, "No, you're coming with me. Like you're my protection." I thought that was so cute. Bodyguard Ford fic.
That was really cute. And at the end too, when like they're all like cheering, they're like, "Yay, we're saved. Thanks, John, for committing another suicide mission." Like you see like Ford go up to like he hugs Carson, and then he goes up and he hugs Rodney.
Yes.
I was like, wait a minute. That's going down somewhere. I wrote that down. I was like, okay, come back to this moment. We're gonna record that for later. They're so cute.
Yeah.
It was so awkward, like for Rodney. He was so awkward. He was like, but yeah, it was
hugging
super cute.
Stargate Atlantis, yeah.
Yeah.
They're all emotionally constipated.
It's like they don't know what to do. The recipient of the hug never knows where to put their hands. It's very like,
yeah.
It's always one person doing the hugging and the other person just standing there being like.
Exactly. There are like 2 huggers or 3 maybe, and the rest is like, no, we don't hug. We don't. What do we do? This is unfamiliar terrain.
Yeah, exactly.
Like as opposed to like SG1, I feel like SG1 are always like, we love each other. Kind of like they're a little more touchy-feely, more like, I love you, like hugging. And, like Vala being like, I miss you, running up to Sam. It's really cute. When you get to Atlantis and they're like 5 feet away, I'm not going to tell you I love you. I'm just going to kill a man for you. Like, they are horrible at expressing their feelings. And somehow SGU is even worse. Like, how...
Oh.
Yeah.
Do they hug in SGU?
Do SGU... Do, like, the cast members, like, or, like, the actors or the characters, sorry, just jumped around. Do they know, like, what a hug is? I don't know if those characters do.
They forgot about the hugging and went right to the fucking...
True.
They just went to killing each other, honestly.
That too. Damn.
Another scene that I liked was Taylor kicking John's ass.
Yep. Totally.
Ass girl. Yeah.
Yeah, just it's what he deserves. It's what he deserved after this episode as well.
Oh, they had an extra training session after this episode, so just that she could beat him up some more.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Elizabeth scheduled it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. No, I had no thoughts. I was watching that like part like y'all gonna put that in my Stargate? Thank you. That's all I needed.
Yeah.
All
it
I
was
needed
just
was woman kicking ass.
Yeah. It was just everything about the scene. Like, the lighting was so beautiful, and just her and the way she moves, and him trying to be cool, but just failing spectacularly.
I really wish like they had incorporated those sticks not only like into her like practice fighting, but like into the field. I feel like we never see her really use like those like what are they training for? Like, y'all have guns, like y'all don't ever use these sticks. Like what are you guys whatever. Taylor just wants to beat their asses. Like that's just her therapy, I guess. But I wish we got to see them, actually use that outside in the field.
Yeah, would be so cool. We got one scene in one of the earlier episodes where she beats up a wraith, and she's so
Like
these. Yeah.
like one long stick.
Yeah, and she breaks it, and John tries to break a stick. Is this in this episode? And he just hurts himself.
He's an idiot. I love him.
Yeah, he is. So yeah, that scene was, and okay, sorry to bring this up, but I think like this could be a scene for Taylor John shippers. But I have to say that like I'm trying to watch it with a critical eye, and I try to keep like both ships that I know of in mind, so I'm trying to see where people are coming from. Okay, so in this case, I was watching it, and was like, oh yeah, okay, I can see how you could interpret it like that, but when she has him on his knees and like she shoves him away, and it was like, and the way they talk, it was more like, to me it really seemed like more like friendship, and not like in a like not teasing in like a flirty or romantic way. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that way too, only because I feel like John is such not a kid, but in the scene he's like, Taylor's like, oh, like you haven't been practicing, and he has that personality of like, if I'm not good at something right away, or if I'm not the best at something right away, then I don't want to try because I'm never gonna be the coolest and best at it, so who cares? Which is just like, oh, typical man. But and not very, And then his whole line where he's like, "Oh, if I had a gun, then I would win." Like, oh, come on, bro. Like, lose gracefully.
Yeah. I will say, I think they have like some. I think they're most like romantic. I'm quoting. Scenes I think are like in season 1 and season 2. I think like past those early seasons, I don't see anything. And I remember someone telling me on Twitter, because I think I mentioned, I was like, oh yeah, like when I was watching it for the first time, I was like, oh yeah, like I don't really see how they have any tension. And someone was like, oh, they get more later on. And so I kept waiting, and there was nothing. I was like, it got worse. What are you talking about? So I will say, for John and Taylor shippers, I can kind of see the first like 2 seasons, like a little more of the tension. But
the way it was hurting you to say that.
Yeah, it was struggling to come out. I had to like choke back tears. But what was I even saying? Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, I think they have some tension, sure, but I feel like, not to spread the Taylor-Beth agenda here so soon, but I was just loving it. I think this is a great, like, subtle Taylor-Beth episode, the way that, like, from the beginning, Taylor was not having any of, like, John's, like, weird macho bravado that just came out of fucking nowhere. She was very much like just kind of like side-eyeing him the whole time, and she followed him out to like a little like hazmat room, and then she was like, you should not have done that. She's like, you are dumb. And I was like, thank you for calling him out, because he was being very dumb.
Yes.
Yeah, Taylor's gonna defend her woman, of course, because John was being so stupid in this episode. I mean, at certain points. At that point in particular, he was being not the smartest. And I feel like his biggest sin was trying to pit Bates against Elizabeth in that one scene. And she did it too, which wasn't great. Like, you're putting Bates in an uncomfortable position where you both are his boss, technically, and so he's like, who do I obey first? And he chooses Shepard, which I thought was interesting considering their tension in the previous half of the season. They don't like each other very much, so that was interesting that he ceded to Shepard's authority over Weir's. And made even worse by the fact that it sort of undermines not only Weir's authority, but the civilian authority of the expedition. So that wasn't great. It's like, oh, we're a civilian expedition, I swear, but whenever anything goes wrong, it's like, no, the military is in charge now. Like, we have to take over. So, didn't like that too much.
Yeah, I have huge problems with that scene. It's like, I mean, first of all, John undermines Elizabeth. Elizabeth, okay? Yeah. How dare he? And I get a whole thing with Bates that you mentioned, Tor. I was wondering why he obeyed John's order in the end, and I couldn't really figure out why. But now I'm thinking maybe, like you said, he and John, they are not best buddies, but I think he's also not a fan of Elizabeth. So maybe that played some kind of a role. And then I was thinking, is there not some kind of, not a precaution, but like a rule that in the end, Elizabeth's word is like higher than John's, because it's a civilian expedition, and although he is ranking military officer, he shouldn't have more to say than her.
Yeah, like definitely, I agree, she should have the last word, unless it's a strictly military situation, which this wasn't. So...
Which she pointed out repeatedly.
Yeah, exactly.
Elizabeth was so patient, girl. If that was her, I would have just locked his ass in there, been like, you're not getting out. Sorry, like, I'm turning you off. Like, sorry, I can't hear you anymore. You're breaking up. I'm just like cut off his like voice thing. Like, I don't know. I would have done some fuck shit. She was great. She's a way better leader than I am. Also, I affectionately nicknamed this episode John's entitled frat boy era.
Ooh. Yes.
Very entitled. We kind of get like a little hint of it later, like when they finally talk at the end of the episode. You kind of see that like it's just his like trust and control issues just kind of flaring up in the worst way, but doesn't really forgive that he just completely went over Elizabeth's head. And she was warned of this too, and she's still like, but I still like put my faith in you, and like you kind of like just betrayed that faith and kind of like trust that we had. Again, I do kind of wish that, obviously this is not the show, but I wish that they'd kind of like delved into that further, maybe like had like them on awkward terms for like the next few episodes or something, or at least one, because I don't know how she forgave him. She's a much better person than I am. Because she forgave him hella quick.
Yeah. I love that last scene where she says, yeah, we have to talk. And because I think she's probably the only person who understands like their relationship or like their responsibility that they both have together as like civilian and military leader. And like her saying that we have to talk about this, not, hey, I have to talk to you, but she puts them on the same level and she wants to talk about this in a, I don't know, human way, or something that they can figure it out together. And I think that's such leadership.
Yeah.
Perfect.
No, you're so right. I think that was the perfect thing for her to say, like to make it more personal and to make it about Elizabeth and John instead of like authority versus authority, right? Because John has a problem with authority, as we know. And I feel like I don't know what the reason is exactly. I think a bit of it is personal and a little bit of it is about professional history. Like, personally, I feel like he doesn't trust anybody to know better than he does in a situation where people's lives are at risk, because that's just the kind of person he is. I feel like he needs to be the one in control. He needs to be the one sacrificing himself for everybody else. Like, that's just his whole thing, which I think ties into his professional issues with authority. Him getting screwed over by CEOs, at least in his eyes, where they were telling him, like, not to go back for people behind enemy lines, and he did it anyway. Maybe he thought that was a stupid order at the time. I don't know how safe it was for him to be doing that. Clearly it wasn't that safe, because it didn't turn out very well. But I think he's carried that trauma, quote unquote, with him. So he's not seeing Elizabeth, he's seeing, like, overarching authority, and he's bucking against it. And for her to bring up, like, keeping them on the same level, like you said, making it more personal, I feel like that would be the only way to get through to him, making it about their personal trust instead of, levels of power. Yeah.
100%. Can I also say, like, not to make this about man versus woman, but I just think it's super interesting that so many other, like, commanding officers have tried to, like, just tell John what to do. And they've clearly seen that it does not work. It does not work with him. It goes one ear out the other. You cannot let him. Yeah, you just can't tell him what to do. He's gonna literally do the opposite. It's like he's like a little kid. So I think it's interesting that Elizabeth was the woman to sit down and be like, let's talk, and, like, I know how to, like, get through to you. That's not in a way like the commanding and, like, the authoritative way that you clearly don't respond to well.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and then really quick, one last thing about this little Elizabeth versus John thing. She did kind of hesitate, though. In that one scene where he's like, I kind of forgot where it is, where it's at, but John's, like, asking her for something, and she's, like, staying silent, and then John's like, Elizabeth, and she's like, okay, fine. But, like, she was really gonna hold it against him, and I was like, yay, bestie. And then I was like, okay, I give in, though. Everyone's gonna die.
Yeah.
But I was at least proud that, like, she was at least, like, she was still pretty pissed about that, and you can see, and I love that moment, because it just shows, like, yeah, she's human, like, she's a great leader, because, again, she put her resentment and, like, her aside to give John the information that he needed, but she was really like, boy, I'm still pissed at you, I'm not giving you shit. And so I just love that about her.
Yeah, I love that scene, because, again, it shows, I think it again shows her leadership qualities, that he disobeyed the order, and then he asking her for new orders, which he shouldn't, because he shouldn't be in that situation. And she's pissed, like, she's so pissed. That's why we have that pause. But she also knows that she can't change it now. Like, she doesn't, I don't know, she doesn't remain still and is still like, oh my god, he disobeyed an order, he shouldn't do that now. But she re-evaluates the situation, and then just goes forward and so it tells him where to go. And I think that's really, really strong of her.
I'd be curious to read up on some Elizabeth haters' opinions on this episode.
Yeah. So yeah, apparently there was, like, when this episode came out, there were, like, two camps, and the ones who were defending Elizabeth said she did things right, and the other side who said, no, that was not okay.
Yep. I don't know. I feel like John fucked up. Like, just bottom line, in what he did. Like, I get they're trying to show their opposing personalities. Like, Weir is more of let's think about things and be slow and, like, actually have a plan before we just charge off and choose the nuclear option, which is Shepard's favorite, as we see in this episode every time. but like the fact that he broke quarantine caused a bunch more chaos, and he had to shoot a civilian. And like, who's to say that if he didn't break out of quarantine, like, they would have had to kill somebody? Like, he probably wouldn't have had to, because the protocols would have worked. So, I don't know. I just can't defend his actions. I don't know, in this episode. At least in the beginning part.
What's his name? His name Peterson or something? Did he die?
I'm not sure, actually. That's a good question.
Good question. I was just going to say really quick, 100%. John was in the wrong, y'all. This is not the podcast for you. If you think Elizabeth was in the wrong, I'm so sorry, bestie. There's other options, I think, for you. But John was wrong. Love him. He's dumb. I was just going to say, though, speaking on the fact that John actually shot him, I was like, where are the stun guns? Why did John have to actually shoot him? I was like, I thought we had some of those lying around. Like, they didn't want to bring, like, a little zat or two, and, like, I know they had, like, wraith stunners that I think that they just discontinued because they were just, like, ginormous and, like, hard to use, I guess. But, like, I don't know, like, make Atlantis pop, like, some little ones out or something. Like, create new ones. I feel like those stunners would have come in handy in situations.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing.
Especially this situation. Like, we saw them use it in, what was it, the Storm or the Eye? Like, where did the Ray Stunner go? Oops.
Ooh. Also, like, if he was actually really dead, there's that one scene where they're, like, passing over, like, the mess hall, and there's just, like, he's just, like, on a bench, like, lying down. I was like, is that man, when I was watching, I was like, is he dead?
Yeah.
Like, just, like, camping out with, like, a dead body? Like, are they just all hanging out?
That's so
Yeah, I just
bad.
looked it up. He did die. So it was probably him.
Ooh.
Very respectful.
Oh.
They just, like, put him on a bench, didn't even put, like, a jacket on his face. They
Yeah, he's dead.
None of us knew. None of us knew.
Well, we've had some really good leadership from Elizabeth. We've had some really shitty leadership from John's end. And I think in the middle, we have Dr. Rodney McKay. Yeah, this episode, for sure. I was actually surprised pleasantly by how he handled everything. Like, oh, okay. Like, he didn't panic when the first scientists died or were seeing things. He was like, are you okay? Like, tell me what happened. And then he was the first to invoke the quarantine. So he was like, no, we have to stay and isolate. We don't want to spread this to anybody else, which is shocking, selfless behavior from Rodney McKay. Who knew? So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by that. That was great.
Yeah, I mean, you guys can see my blush now. It's like the big smile. But I honestly, like, I think it's one of my favorite Rodney episodes. And, like, he's not even a main, like, character, really. Like, he's just kind of, like, hanging out. Like, he has the B-plot, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just feel like there's something just so endearing. I think he took command really well. He was, you know, not mean. I think he remembered most of their names. So come on.
True.
It's because one of them was a girl, but like it's fine. I'll tell you. But like, I love that one scene. There's so many great ones, honestly. There's two that I wrote down for sure. There's one where Rodney is telling Carson to like just stop like trying to like give the guy CPR, and it just hurt my heart because he was like, just stop. He was like, stop trying, like it's not gonna work, like it's a brain thing, like it's not gonna work. And he just looks so sad and heartbroken. I was like, oh my god, the trauma. Because I mean, the whole thing has just been traumatic from start to finish from all the scientists, you know? Like, how many of their, like, friends and coworkers died, and it was just the science department, you know? And obviously, again, I know the limitations of like a budget and blah 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 blah. But I do wish that we had got a little more of like something from the extras to make it seem more like, oh, okay, there's like actually some scientists besides just like every extra just dying and having like no personality. But still, I freaking love that scene. I think David, chef's kiss to you because he did great this episode.
Yeah, I was too surprised, pleasantly surprised how he handled the whole situation. But even before like the shit went down, he was like, the way he handled like this herd of scientists, it was really professional. And I noticed that our outro is from this episode. Like, when it came out, I was like, "Oh my god, this is it!
Lore drop."
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is the leadership that he will be preaching about in later this season.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and also just speaking on a more personal level for Rodney, like he's had a rough few weeks, months. I'm not sure how time flows in Atlantis. Just last week in quotations of TV time, he experienced the death of 2 of his scientists, and now a shit ton more have just died. So that's gotta hurt, like to be responsible for people and them. And dying horrifically, too. Like, seeing shit and then having brain aneurysms like that, that's pretty awful. So.
Yeah, like, quick, bro. Get a Heitmeyer in this bitch.
Yeah.
They need, like, round-the-clock therapy. Like, every single person here. But I was also going to say, I was like, speaking of death, how many of the staff died? I feel like at one point, I know John mentions, he's like, this could take out 1/3 of our staff. I was like, 1/3 of your staff isn't dead? I was like, oh, I thought it took out genuinely like 1/3, because obviously like we don't know how many people started off in the expedition. But I feel like as we go on, more and more people are dying. And I'm like, y'all have like 10 people left. I would like protect them with all your heart. So I really wonder, because I feel like the death count must have been at least like, what, like 10 to 15 maybe? Because like some people in the mess hall, like, do we know?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, okay, they were like...
didn't they stop it before? Like, they started seeing them, but we know kind of from before that they start seeing these ghosts or whatever sometime before they actually die. So I think what we saw in the mess hall was just like the first fit.
Okay. Because then at least like what, like 5 or 6 then?
Yeah, I think so. So apparently Peterson the 5th. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like the 2 people. There's the girl scientist, there's the bodyguard dude, and then Peterson as well. And then I don't remember if there's anyone after him. Was there another one? Yeah, maybe like 5 or 6 then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is not counting, you know, like the Defiant one. Yeah, like you just said, we literally just lost 2 scientists last week, y'all. Yeah, they're a dying breed out there. And then, like, how many people did we lose in the storm? Like, I mean, I think for the most part they evacuated a lot of people too. But like, what happened to the random military guys? Oh, the's definitely the 2 that got shot, right? As soon as
yeah, right. The bacon guy.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. Like I'd be
like
stressed
flies.
and like, yeah, I'm so grateful. Well, kind of grateful that the Daedalus came and saved everyone's asses in the finale, because they were gonna be down to like 5 people literally.
Yeah.
How did they even defend, anyways? But yeah. How did they like hold off that long? Like,
imagine if there was no reinforcements and like no way to get new people. They would have to recruit from like planets, because there's no way we're getting replacement staff. That might have been cool, actually.
that would have been awesome to actually see them like actually use the Athosians correctly. And like other like, get the indigenous people of this galaxy in here. Stop with your colonizer shit.
Yeah.
It's not becoming.
No.
You read my mind.
Yeah, no, that would have been awesome.
Yeah. We also get the first mention of Rodney's sister. Yeah, the scene where he's gonna die. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. That's the scene where he kind of snaps back into his like typical Rodney that we know. But yeah, it was so cute that he mentioned his sister, and he mentions that that she's the only family he's got, which is and he isn't even close with her, so.
Yeah, it's interesting. I always am interested about their parents in particular. Like, I wonder what the dynamic was there. Because we get, like, he mentions his parents twice. Once his mom at the end of the show, like, near the end of the show, and then once their father, I think in the third season. So, it's interesting. I think their whole family dynamic is super, super interesting, especially considering Rodney's whole character. But we will get there eventually.
Yeah.
I'm excited to discuss that.
Yeah.
Also, another interesting Rodney thing this episode, he does not like, I don't know if it's just his negativity and his Eeyore-ness coming through, but he does not like pity or for people to be kind to him. Like, when Beckett was being like, oh, you're gonna be fine, like, you're gonna be alright, and he was like, no, like, nobody is going to be fine, and nobody is gonna be alright, like, I'm dying, like, I'm dying, you have to just say it. I thought that was super interesting, because when he's in actual mortal danger, he doesn't want to hear people being nice to him, doesn't want to hear, like, any platitudes or whatever, but when he has, like, a sliver, he wants everybody to pay attention. So I just thought that was so, like, such a weird contrast in his character.
Yeah, and especially because he's so good at, like, we've seen him, especially this season, we've seen him be amazing at bedside manner. He's a fucking liar. He's like, I'm so bad at it. No, he's great at, like, being so nice and, like, comforting, like, to the people that he really cares about, or even people that he's not particularly close to, like that one scientist. Like, he was still trying his best to help him, like, stay calm and stuff. So it's interesting that you mentioned that, because, yeah, you're right, like, again, it's everyone's, like, emotional constipation coming through, because he just can't handle, like, Carson being nice to him. And there's a really cute Zelenka moment that I pegged down with him and Rodney, where Rodney first sees a ghost and Rodney's like freaking out, and he's like trying not to, and he's like turning away. And there's a little moment where Zelenka's like watching Rodney, and like someone's like attending to him, and he kind of like waves him off, and he's like staring at Rodney, like, okay, is it gonna get worse or better? And I was like,
Oh, my heart.
That's so cute. I love them.
Oh,
It's really cute.
I thought you were gonna mention the moment where during Rodney's speech, where he says, "Yeah, I have these theories, and I want you to have a look at them." And Zelenka goes like, "We're going to look at them together," and yeah, that was really sweet as well.
my heart.
Again, I think his goodbye speech, one of my favorite Rodney moments ever. David Hewlett acted the shit out of that. He came to work that day. He said, "I'm putting my 2 cents." But I don't know. Like, and again, you know, it kind of brings me back. We sort of discussed it a little bit, I think, just on our own free time. But there was a Tumblr post going around talking about how Rodney and John kind of, and how they evolve throughout the seasons, and how, like, John is a lot more, like, sarcastic and, like, not taking anything seriously in season 1. By the end of season 5, obviously, he is a completely different guy. He is so emotionally worn out and stuff. And on the flip side, we have Rodney, who's a lot more serious in the beginning, who by the end of season 5 is kind of like more of like a caricature of his season 1 self. And so I think it kind of really ties into this episode, because I loved him this episode, and I think it's his, like, he's serious, he can be funny, and he can have, like, those moments of, like, oh, typical Rodney, like, hysteria and, like, stuff. But at the end of it, like, he's still, like, I don't know, he's rooted, he just feels real, and I think that the character kind of loses that as the seasons go by, especially because, I don't know, I just prefer his more, like, grounded nature. I don't like when he gets all, like, super grady, and I think that sometimes later in the seasons he can. But yeah, I don't know, just love this episode. I love this Rodney.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree 100%. I'm not looking forward to the devolving of his character because we're getting so much good stuff right now in this first season. So, we'll see where the journey takes us.
Speaking of devolving, when we find out that it's a nanovirus that has, like, that's the reason for all of this. And there's a scene where I think Rodney is explaining to Elizabeth what's happening, and she's like, yeah, let's pretend I don't know what a nanovirus is. And he, like, explains it to her, and I thought it was such a horrible and probably unintentional foreshadowing to what's gonna happen to her in season 3.
Oh.
And yeah, I hurt myself thinking about this.
Oh.
Oh.
I didn't even realize until you said it. Oh no. Yeah.
Why did you say that? That hurts. That hurts a
That's
lot.
awful. And it's Rodney too who oh no.
It keeps getting
Alright.
worse.
Someone needs to, like, parallel these scenes together, because oh my gosh.
Oh.
And another brutal thing about the nanovirus is that the ancients totally made it to kill humans. Like, this is totally an ancient manufactured thing. And they're like, yeah, let's not think about that ever. Let's pretend we don't know that that's the case. Because Rodney's right. Like, why would the Wraith intentionally kill humans? Like, that they need to eat them. So they're not going to just destroy it, like, kill them for no reason. So it had to be the ancients. Like, they were in an ancient lab. So it doesn't shock me because we know the ancients are horrible. But it's just so, like, wow, they were really bastards. Like, they were willing to kill everybody, all the humans in the Pegasus galaxy just to get rid of the Wraith. Like, they were ready to starve them out just so they wouldn't be a problem anymore. It's so bad.
100%. And I was gonna say, it's weird though, because I feel like it's kind of like left open-ended, right? Because like they kind of say they're like, well, like, no, the ancients could have never created that because they're still like were like ancient stands for some reason in season 1. And they're like, well, Rodney says that line, he's like, well, I hope whoever made it's still not around. And so it's like, I don't know if they were trying to like set up some like other like crazy like, you know, like villain. I think it kind of like could be foreshadowing to like the Assurans or whatever they're called, the replicators.
Yeah, no,
right?
it is. And apparently it was actually them who created it.
Oh,
Like,
wow. I was just so
virus.
bent on my ancient, like, the ancients are evil. That I totally
Yeah,
believed.
no. It's like I wasn't sure. It wasn't bonus material that I found, and so we will come back to this in Progeny, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh my gosh. So it really is the circle. They were setting something up here. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
good,
it is.
but I'll take it for the effort.
Yeah.
I'll take it
Damn.
for effort. Honestly, we'll get to the whole replicator nonsense and
Yeah.
later season. That's another mess. Because honestly, I don't know if I like that they were the ones who made it. I kind of would have preferred the ancients being little bitches that made it. 'Cause I wouldn't put it past them, or that it was like some other race that was like, I don't know. I don't know. They could have just made some new fun race that, like, I don't know, hated humans. That didn't have to be replicators. But whatever, that's a side note. I was gonna say though, since we're talking about ancients, if someone told me to explain the ancient timeline, I would just have to cry. Because you could not pay me millions of dollars to explain that shit to you. It is so convoluted. Because when did the plague take place? like, was it before the 10,000 Year War? Was it during? It couldn't have been after. They weren't on Pegasus anymore. Yeah, because then when did the Ori come in? How does Destiny, feature into this, like SGU? Because they made those ships ahead of Atlantis, right? No, they made those ships before they went to Earth or during. I have literally no idea. All I'm saying is the timeline is so fucking weird, and it just seems to me like they just kept hopping back between Pegasus and Milky Way, like it was like just like a vacation spot. Like they did not. I don't know what was going on there. So, the ancient timeline. Yeah, no idea.
Neither. What was interesting to me in this episode that we learned, like they say that this virus could kill like 1/3 of the expedition, which means that 2/3 have the ancient gene, either by like naturally or by gene therapy, which is insane. Like it seems like a lot to me, and it makes me very sad that like from the main cast only John, Carson, and Ford. Does Ford have the gene? No.
Ford, yeah, because remember he was like this close to being next, because they mentioned, I think, the episode that he tried it but it didn't take, because I think
Right,
it says
Right,
48% of the people can like
Yeah.
take on the gene either.
Yeah. So I think that's I think I'm gonna have to write a fanfiction one day where Elizabeth has the gene, just because I want her to fly the jumper and fly Taylor on the main line. And I don't want her to have like some marine accompanying there. Like, what the fuck? So
You need a chaperone,
for that purpose, it's.
That is
Well, this
so
is a
funny.
side note. We don't have to include this in the episode, but I started that really long fic. The John is an ancient fic.
Oh,
There's a super long fic, like it's like multiple parts, and like the crazy thing is like in the I don't know if it's the first chapter or like in the summary, whatever. But like this person plotted out like their own like ancient timeline, and like they have like John's like great grandparents and grandparents and blah 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 blah. And like I was reading through it and I was like, it's in like she said in like her little like title thing, they were like, oh, they're like yeah, I wrote this like so many years ago, like I went back and like edited it, blah blah blah. And then they're like, yeah, I still have like 3 boxes worth of like notes in my closet somewhere because I was making this universe. And I was like,
wow,
this is wild. Anyway, side note. But like I was like, yeah, that person, I need that person to hit us up and they need to come over and explain to us the timeline, because they like created like, I mean, they integrated John into that timeline, so like he's actually like an ancient, but it was just wild.
Damn, this is why
Like, the amount
fic
of
writers
work that
are
went into
gods
that.
among us. Honestly, like just thank you for existing and sharing with us.
If you write fic, thank you.
Yeah,
For all your duties
for real.
for mankind.
Hours of entertainment and like, oh damn, I never thought of that before, and like that kind of thing. So thank you. Yeah, now I want to read that and see like, ooh, I'm gonna make their ancient timeline my canon to ancient timeline.
Yeah. Well, no, in the beginning I was like, okay, I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna finally understand the timeline. But like, it's like, how many thousands of years? It's like so long. I was like, I got so confused. I was like, where are we? I was like, what is this going on? And I just had to skip to the end. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna read the fic first. If I need help, I'll go back to the first chapter. It's pretty good so far. I'm on like chapter 3 or something, but it's basically like they come into Atlantis and like John, like kind of like Elizabeth was like sleeping there. John was sleeping there for 10,000 years.
Ooh.
And so like he wakes up and it's so, I love fics that have Atlantis as like sentient. And so he's basically like, I forgot the name of it, but it's like, obviously it's like Latin based, but he's basically like one of the like last people, like part of the age, like some ancients could speak to Atlantis, but they had to have like a certain like gene or something. So he's like the last of that gene thing. So him and Atlantis are always talking and like, it's so fun. It's so good. It's really cute.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think the writers missed an opportunity by not making Atlantis like explicitly sentient. Because
100%.
that's cool.
That would be so fun. And I wrote.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, please go.
And I was going to say, I wrote down a few notes too, because I was like, there are a few moments I was like, the base could have been sentient here. When the city like closed down, and like put everyone in quarantine, I wrote down, I was like, the city was like, y'all can't do anything right. Like, force you guys into quarantine. The city was like, damn, humans suck. Y'all can't quarantine by yourselves? Like, fine, time out. And he just shut them all down. And then I also wrote down the part, like, the idea of, like, the hazmat suits being, like, you know, like, protecting them and allowing them to go through the base. I was like, that's cool. I was like, but also I'm a big fan of the idea of Atlantis being just like, John and Taylor are cool, let them through.
Oh.
And then just being like, oh my god, that's my grandson and his friend that I like. Like, okay, yeah, they can just walk. Like, I just love that.
I love that.
Ash, please go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was actually going to say as well that there was some hints that in this episode that Atlantis was kind of sentient or just had like these insane programs that, set all this up. And speaking of quarantine, what kind of weird as quarantine was that there were like 20 people in a mess hall? What the fuck? They mentioned later that thanks to quarantine, only half people were there, but still, that's not a quarantine. I mean, we all lived it now, but still, that was very weird to me.
Yeah, like, why did they just quarantine everyone in their rooms? Why did they send them to the mess?
I think that was the plan, but it was kind of like, it was weird.
There's some messed up protocols for quarantine. That's all I know. Taking people to a room. The room is like this big. Yeah, that's fine. Good air. They must have like excellent HVAC system in Atlantis for that to be okay.
Literally. I was gonna say though too, I feel like it's so interesting like rewatching like Stargate, especially because I feel like Stargate has a lot of quarantine eps for some reason. Like weirdly. There's like that big one in season 9, right? Or season 8 of SG1, I don't know, something like that. But this one I was like, yo, the guy breaking quarantine, I was like, I see you. And
He's an anti-masker.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, oh, this is a little too real. I was like, this is a little, oof. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
We know what that is now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. I feel that way a lot, like, nowadays with a lot of, like, that. Now that we kind of lived through a pandemic, there's so many episodes, and especially sci-fi, I feel like, that have some kind of plague, pandemic, quarantine shit going on.
Yeah.
We're getting so much off track today.
But that's the fun thing about science fiction. I feel like it just tells the future. Sometimes the present, because we lived so long with this media culturally. Yeah.
Yeah, also, yeah, we're getting so off topic, but it's because we're so excited to see each other's faces after so long of talking first, and then also secondly, because we're seeing each other for the first time, which is so fun to announce, but like, so random. We've been talking for literal months, like, for hours. We've never seen each other's faces, or we've seen each other's faces, we just never talked on video. Yeah, so we're like excited puppies today.
I'm clapping my hands like a seal every 2 minutes.
Yeah. I know, I just keep like throwing my head back and being like, this is so funny. Cheeks hurt, all that.
Yeah, mine too.
I know, I'm like, stop smiling. It's impossible.
Yeah, speaking of things that make me smile, the John Rodney banter at the end of the episode was just too funny to pass up, when he's going for like the EMP thing, and he's like, should I pay attention to like all these warning signs? And there's like huge yellow like caution and like warning, do not touch. And Rodney's like, not today. We got bigger problems. So good. So good. And the way, like, John's, like, gonna fly the nuke or whatever, like he usually does, into the sky. And he's like, am I gonna be okay? Like, is this alright? And Rodney's like, you'll be fine. Just shush. You'll be fine. and John is like, okay. He's like, are you sure this is gonna work? Like, if I do this, if I blow this thing in the middle of the sky, like, everyone's gonna live. And Rodney's like, yeah. And so John's like, good enough for me. I'll fly the ship. No problem. You say it's okay? Cool, I trust you. I just love that.
So freaking cute. And again, John's on another suicide mission. Girl, we're like, what, 12, 13 episodes in? Oh my god. How many times are you gonna try to kill yourself, bestie? Like, literally, I think Atlantis, like, has to be sentient. It has to be protecting him from, like, half of these. Because there's just, like, no way he survived 5 seasons of this.
I swear it's like the 12th martyr scene that we've seen, like, in 12 episodes.
Yeah, every episode he's gotta be like, well, guys, goodbye. And I gotta be like, no. But I was gonna say, I love that little moment though of John kind of like saying goodbye, of course, and Elizabeth and Rodney being like, "Take care." I've seen people ship Elizabeth, Rodney, and John, all 3, and that's an interesting one. I'm not sure if I can get behind the John and Elizabeth aspect of it. I don't mind the Elizabeth and Rodney aspect of it.
That's so funny because I'm the other way around.
I know. But I mean, you know, and we've kind of talked about this before, I think, on like our pilot episode or something, but I know a lot of people are big fans of also just like Atlantis as a whole together, like Poly Atlantis, you know. And I personally am not like a huge subscriber to that idea. For sure, I feel like this scene, I was like, okay, I see where y'all are coming from. It's like the vibes are there. There's just love everywhere. So the vibes, like, I get it.
Oh yeah.
This is a good episode for all kinds of ships, I feel like.
Yeah.
Oh, one tiny bit. I love Dr. What's her name? Biro?
Yeah, Biro!
She's amazing! I completely forgot about this character, but she's like, not a big role, but she has a few lines in this episode, and she's so funny. I love her. Oh my gosh.
She was great, and I only remember her ever from Sunday. And I feel like,
yeah,
what a shame, because she's great in this episode. Like, even better than in Sunday. And I feel like she should have been like a Zelenka. Like, they should have made her more of a character, because she's so fun. Like, her fast talking and her, like, inappropriate humor is so good.
Yes.
Yeah, like, whenever someone died, which was often on Stargate Atlantis, they should have used her as, like, doing the autopsy, like a Scully moment. I would have loved it.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
She was like the official coroner.
Yeah.
And have her, like, record. Oh. Yes.
Yeah. I would have loved it. Missed potential, always with the women on Stargate.
Yeah.
Sad life.
Anyways, up next is Ash with the Bechdel test.
Yay! This episode passes.
Ooh.
Yeah, we have it's a bit surprising maybe, but we have a few exchanges between Taylor and I think her Crown in the mess hall, like this extra, like this. Actually, I think she's just there for this episode. But I thought it was great that we passed the Bechdel test, and it's not even with like 2 of the main characters. Like, that would be great as well, obviously. But we even got like one of the extras in there. So yeah.
Damn. Good job, Stargate.
Not bad.
Yeah. Oh.
I feel like season 1 isn't doing as bad as I thought it would.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. I think it more than 50%.
Yeah, that's actually really cool.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
And then we pass it over again to Ash. So we're just passing it over to Ash all the time today. But Ash will be discussing the bonus
Bonus
thingies we have.
Yeah, okay, let's see, what do we have? So this episode was written by Martin Gero and directed by Mario Azopardi, which apparently the cast loved. Yeah, just... I was listening to the audio commentary, and it was kind of chaotic because it was Martin Gero, Rachel Luttrell, Paul McGillian, Rainbow Sun Franks. Yeah, I think these four. It was just some of them were watching this episode for the first time, and it was just like, wow, this episode is so good, and it was really funny.
Yeah.
Dang, I love them.
Yeah, I love it when actors get excited over their own like show. It's really funny. Okay, bonus material. So, when Taylor and John are sparring, there's a possible reference to Indiana Jones in Raiders of the Lost Ark when Shepard says, "If this were a fight, I would have shot you by now." I'm just gonna tie that into John is a huge nerd.
Yup. Accurate.
The game of Prime Not Prime, played by McKay, Zelenka, and Ford, is likely a reference to Cube, a Canadian horror movie in which David Hewlett had a main role. In the movie, knowing whether or not a number was prime was a matter of life and death.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, that's really
my
cool. I didn't know that.
favorite Canadian horror movie ever. It's so good.
Really?
If the audience hasn't watched it, go watch it. It's like the pre-Saw. It came out before Saw and inspired Saw. It's just so good.
Oh, damn.
We should totally watch it one night. It's so good.
Yeah, let's make it a thing.
Yes.
Cool. Okay. Also, Zelenka answers that 4021 is not a prime, even though it is, and this error is just overlooked. This is kind of embarrassing.
The writers got it wrong. Don't they have math consultants or like science consultants? Come on, guys.
I mean, maybe Google? I don't know. It should have been there right at that point. Yeah. Yeah. So, to continue, Ford's first name, Aiden, is mentioned in this episode for the first time in the series. And Rainbow Sun Franks chose this name, apparently himself, because it's the name of one of Joe Flanagan's sons. Really cute. Yeah, also, McKay says, I've been around more EMPs than anyone. And that's a reference to the Stargate SG-1 episode Redemption Part 2, where McKay set off an EMP in the gate room in an attempt to knock out the weapon Anubis was using to overload the Earth's Stargate and cause it to explode. All he accomplished was to wreck some equipment and injure Major Samantha Carter.
Oops.
Yo. I thought that was funny. Yeah, what you mentioned earlier, Tori, is that McKay's sister, Jeannie Miller, is first mentioned, but not named. The original script called for McKay to reveal that he had a brother on Earth, not a sister, but David Hewlett asked the producers if the sibling could be a sister instead, because he has a sister who's an actress. And he didn't really ask for her to be cast, but she later was. Yeah, so...
I love it. I don't know. I can't picture Rodney with a brother, older or younger. It's weird, right?
I've never thought about it.
Because Jeannie is just so perfect. I feel like his perfect match.
Yes.
For a sibling.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to her.
Me
Love
too.
to see her. Oh, she's so cool.
So good.
Also, the actress is really, really nice.
Oh.
Yeah, both General Jagoniers and Colonel Marshall Sumner's names are mentioned in this episode when Elizabeth tells Shepard that both had warned her about that Shepard didn't respect the proper chain of command. They were both referring to the black mark in Afghanistan, which is detailed in the season 3 episode Phantom. Oh, we are told that they can't bring the infected to the EMP generator due to lockdown, so there's nothing stopping John from bringing the EMP generator to the infected. He could have avoided his suicide mission, but no.
Was he was moving too fast to think that one through? Or does he just really love to fly bombs into space? Who knows?
Both. I'm gonna say both. Oh yeah, this one bugged me. The hazmat suits Taylor and John aren't airtight. And you can see that really clearly, so yeah. Anyways, I'm done.
So, that's the end of the episode. Thanks for tuning in to this extremely, well, I feel like it's gonna be a long one. I don't know how we're gonna, we went off.
Yeah, a few times.
For no reason. We were just so excited. We had so many like different rants and stuff. But thanks for tuning in for this week's episode of the Jumping Puddles podcast, aka Hot Zone. And be sure to tune in next week for Sanctuary.
Ooh. Oh, another spicy one.
Let's talk about spicy. Let's talk about spicy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited to talk about that episode. Check us out on all social medias: Spotify, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, YouTube, all that good stuff. And in the description box, you can find our own personal accounts on Tumblr, Instagram, and Twitter. So check us out there. And thanks for tuning in. See y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, you clowns, listen up. I don't often get a chance to say this, so savor it. Good work, boys and girls. Let's go home.